ACTFL recommends that we aim for 90% of our class time in the target language, except for immersion style settings, of course. Sometimes this makes beginner students feel super overwhelmed or scared, especially if we communicate to them that that's our goal. They might be going, I don't speak Spanish, that's why I'm taking your class. Let's talk about some ways we can support our students, help them with this goal, have them help us with this goal, and make sure guardians are all in the loop so you don't get an email saying, hey, my student says you only speak Spanish in class and they don't know what's going on, so what the heck is happening here? I got you. Let's talk about 90% time in the target language in your classroom for novices. Hey, my name is Ashley, aka Señorita to Spanish, where I provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned are going to be down in the description box below. Okay, so why do we do this? Second language acquisition research has made it very clear that students need meaningful exposure in the target language in order to acquire the language. How? We need to make sure that students understand what we are saying, not just talking at them. To me, that means that we need to be clear and transparent about why we're using a lot of language. Specifically, I share with them that 90% number, and while it might be a little scary at first, the next step is that we talk about strategies and the things that we do to support them and help them be successful. So that might be talking about the visual aids that you have in your classroom. It might be showing them the way that you're scaffolding things for them on the screen. Talking to them about active listening and what that might look like for your different students and your different learners and their needs. Talking to them about cognates and how those are a helpful tool for their language learning. All of these are different ways that you can help your students not feel overwhelmed when they hear, oh my gosh, we're going to be spending the majority, like the vast majority of our time in Spanish. I can say hola, and that's pretty much it. Help them calm down, reel it back, and realize that you are here to help them. Next, we're going to loop in the guardians. This is super important. Have you ever had a parent email you saying, hey, Bobby says that you spend all of their time in Spanish and he has no idea what you're saying, he's super confused and that's why he's got a D. And you're like, Bobby, I don't know how many times I told you to put your phone away yesterday, not even last week, just yesterday, and you're going, ugh. It helps if you have already laid that groundwork, already laid that expectation for parents, maybe on a back to school night, maybe during conferences, and they know, yeah, they're going to be hearing Spanish, they're going to be seeing Spanish, but they're also familiar with all of the tools, all of the sports, all of those things we already mentioned with talking with your students about. We've also told parents all of those strategies and all of those things you do to help their students be successful. The phone conversation is another layer you need to have with that guardian if that's the situation. But making sure that they're aware that you are doing things to support your student is helpful. I like to set the scene for guardians in one of two ways. The first is I use La Maestra Loca's back to school night lesson plan that she shared, and it is great. Basically, she has you do a movie talk with the parents so that way they see, oh my gosh, that's a lot of Spanish, but oh my gosh, I actually understood a lot of Spanish. And so they get a feel for how you can teach using comprehensible input, helping your students understand through circling, through visual supports, really very simple language for them, right? Sheltering vocabulary, not grammar. And they can get a sample of what a day in your class feels like, right? That's step one, if you have a back to school night. Option two, or I do this also, I do both and, is I have a 90% time in the target language handout where I explain my job, student's job, and the guardian's job. So the handout that I have for you is actually modeled after one created by Mundo de Pepita. I have shared her blog before. I find it super helpful. Even though she writes for elementary school, I love her ideas and her resources are beautiful. Oh my gosh, if you haven't seen her art before, you just need to go look because anyways, I looked at her 90% time handout and got her permission to kind of tweak it to be a little bit more high school, secondary friendly. I'll put an image of it here on the screen for you to see, but basically what I've done is just kind of rephrased things so that they can understand what is our goal and why does this matter and how is this going to help your student learn Spanish, because nothing is more infuriating than a parent being like, I took Spanish in high school and I don't remember anything. And you're like, yes, because we don't do it the same way anymore, or, you know, not everything is done the same way anymore. I'm trying to avoid that situation for your students so that they get a different experience, so that they're not doing the same conversation in 40 years. Anyways, I like to have this handout ready at back to school night, at Meet the Teacher night, also at parent-teacher conferences. Basically anytime where I might encounter a group of parents, I have a pile of these on hand. Sometimes I don't get to discuss it with them, and I just say, take one, look at it. Because of the infographic style of the handout, it's pretty easy for them to just skim through and get the gist, which is all that I really need, right? I just need to kind of open the door to that conversation. So this is a free download over in my free resource library. I will make sure to link it for you down in the description box below. In case you want to do the same, you can just print it off and have copies ready for back to school night, whether it's something that you want to discuss with the parents, or if you just want to lay it on the table and say, grab one on your way out, thanks. Avoid the, why are you speaking Spanish in Spanish class? Question. If you'd like to see more on classroom policies and procedures to help you prep for classroom management choices, make sure you check out my video here on different classroom policies you can put in place at the beginning of the school year, or really at any time in the school year if you need kind of a reset to help you out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.